Hello. Hi, God Hunter. Hi, No Wife. Hi, Benzo. Hi, Bubbo. Oh, headbands. Thank you. Hi, IDK. Oh, bonk. Oh, no. Not the bonk headband combo. Overstimulate my head. Benzo. Are we ready? Oh, why is my stream so late? It's like 6 or... I'm not gonna make the joke. It's like 7 seconds behind or something. Maybe even 10. That's crazy. I don't know what I can do for that. Oops. Oh well. Are we ready to read some more Sherlock? Oh, look, if you go to sleep, it's okay. It's okay if you go to sleep. Yeah, I'm not gonna trust you. It's okay. Okay. So yesterday, we read through chapter 5. Basically, there was a murder, and Sherlock was able to tell that it was a gentleman over 6 feet tall, and he left a ring that he did not mean to leave there. It was a woman's ring, and we tried to get him to come back to the apartment to grab the ring, and it was this old lady instead that showed up. And Sherlock followed her, and then she tricked him, I think, by getting in like a carriage at the address, and then she left, and so Sherlock lost her. But we learned that whoever we're dealing with has some friends that'll do whatever it takes for him, so that's where we're at. So I'm gonna continue. This will be chapter 6. Tobias Gregson shows what he can do. The papers the next day were full of the Brixton mystery, as they termed it. Each had a long account of the affair, and some had leaders upon it in addition. There was some information in them which was new to me. I still retain in my scrapbook numerous clippings and extracts bearing upon the case. Here is a condensation of a few of them. The Daily Telegraph remarked that in the history of crime there had seldom been a tragedy which presented stranger features. The German name of the victim, the absence of all the other motives, and the sinister inscription on the wall all pointed to its perpetration by political refugees and revolutionists. The socialists... Oh, hi, thank you for the follow, Europe. The socialists had many branches in America, and the deceased had, no doubt, infringed their unwritten laws and been tracked down by them. After alluding airily to the German word, Femgericht, Aquatofana, Carbonari. Oh no. Okay. The Martinez de Brinvilliers, the Darwinian theory, the principles of Malthus, and the Ratcliffe highway murders. The article concluded, oh yes, I am having a lovely day. I hope you're having a great day too. Oh, maybe my little disguise. Yeah, it is. Also, hi Faye. Hi, welcome in. The article concluded by admonishing the government and advocating a closer watch over foreigners in England. Oh my god. It's so funny. The Standard commented upon the fact that lawless outrages of the sort usually occurred under a liberal administration. They arose from the unsettling of the minds of the masses and the consequent weakening of all authority. The deceased was an American gentleman who have been residing for some weeks in the metropolis. Oh, not googly eyes. Thank you, God. Is my audio good? I don't know if I'm too loud or not. No. Oh my God. Oh my God. Not the triple combo. This is hilarious. Oh God. Okay, great. Thank you. He had stayed at the boarding house of Madame Charpentier in Torquay Terrace, Camberwell. He was accompanied in his travels by his private secretary, Mr. Joseph Strangerson. The two bade adieu to their landlady upon Tuesday, the 4th instance, and departed to Euston Station with the avowed intention of catching the Liverpool express. Oh, wait. Lurk bait isn't working right now because it's been so long. 2 seconds. Hold on, sorry. Lurk bait. How irksome you can be sometimes. I have to open it back up. No way you only gambled 2. You gambled only 2 seaweed. Okay. Hopefully an auto. Yep, perfect. Okay. You should be able to fish now. Hopefully. Okay. The two bade adieu to their landlady upon Tuesday the 4th instant, and departed to Euston Station with the avowed intention of catching the Liverpool express. They were afterwards seen together upon the platform. Nothing more is known of them until Mr. Jebber's body was, as recorded, discovered in an hi human, thank you for the follow. Was discovered in an empty house in the Brixton Road, many miles from Euston. How he came there, or how he met his fate, are questions which are still involved in mystery. My cat wants to get into the bathroom so bad, but I've locked the door because my toilet makes noises. Nothing is known of the whereabouts of Strangerson. We are glad to learn that Mr. Lestrade... Oh, okay, and now she's jumped up on my lap. Bridget, no. Hi, Pepe. You want to settle down so I can read? Yeah. You want to lay down? Sorry, everybody. We're taking a little cat intermission. Oh, Bridget, no. Bridget. Yeah. Oh, Bridget. You have to be careful with the microphone. Oh, okay. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. Her tail's hitting the microphone. Unbun. You gotta settle. Was that what a muzzle looks like? Oh, it's several muzzles. Oh, okay. Alright, lay down. Bridget, please lay down. There you go. Good girl. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. We are glad to learn that Mr. Lestrade and Mr. Gregson of Scotland Yard are both engaged upon the case, and it is confidently anticipated that these well-known officers will speedily throw light upon the matter. How many subs to rename my cat? This is my mother's cat. Hi, Hitmanic, welcome in. This is my mother's cat. Oh, no, do not do that. Her name is Bridget because my mom was driving home from work one day and she had to cross a bridge and she saw her on there, and Bridget, being crazy, she jumped off the bridge into the underneath lane of traffic she somehow was perfectly fine. She did not break any bones. She was not ran over, obviously. So my mom like went down and got her, and here she is. Now she's ours. So yeah, Bridget, because we found her on the bridge. You get it? Oh, yeah, Taro. Hi. Welcome. Oh, headbands. Thank you. Yeah, it is funny. Oh, hi, Guy. Welcome. Oh. It's always a joy having cats. They love to be on the stream sometimes. Yeah. No. No, Taro. As far as I know, those are all copyrighted. I know Pride and Prejudice is not copyrighted, but I don't know if that's funny. I've never read it. Oh, thank you, Yerp. Thank you. But look, if Pride and Prejudice, I'm interested. I might would read that. I'd be down. Okay, guys, I have to get back to reading. We've derailed too much. Oh, the Daily News observed that there was no doubt as to the crime being a political one. The despotism and hatred of liberalism which animated the continental governments had the effect of driving to our shores a number of men who might have had excellent citizens were they not soured by the recollection of all that they had undergone. Preschool. Oh yeah, Shakespeare is old-time smut, isn't he? Very true. Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Oh, hi. Oh. Well, thank you. Is it, Jose Angel? Among these men, there was a stringent code of honor, any infringement of which was punished by death. Every effort should be made to find the secretary, Strangerson, and to ascertain some particulars of the habit of the deceased. A great step had been gained by the discovery of the address of the house at which he had boarded, a result which was entirely due to the acuteness and energy of Mr. Gregson of Scotland Yard. Sherlock Holmes and I read these notices over together at breakfast, and they appeared to afford him considerable amusement. I told you that, whatever happened, Lestrade and Gregson would sure to score. That depends on how it turns out. Oh, bless you. It doesn't matter in the least. If the man is caught, it will be a hydrate. A hydrate. Okay, Faye. Let me drink some water. Water has been drunk. If he escapes, it will be... Okay, another hydrate. Thank you, keeping me well hydrated. Many thanks. Once again, if he escapes, it will be in spite of their exertions. It's heads I win, and tails you lose. Whatever they do, they will have followers. Another hydrate, let's go. I know, literally, you're gonna drown me. Oh, okay, hold on. Another. Very nice, thank you. I love making sure I got enough water in me. Yeah, true. I'm a sea dog, I can't drown. You've got a point there. And it's okay, Faye. You guys are like this. I expect it. Okay, this is Latin, I think. Un sot trove toujours un plus saut qui l'admire. Maybe that's French, I'm not certain. What on earth is this? I cried. Oh, hi, Jonny. Thank you for following. I cried, for at this moment there came the pattering of many steps in the hall and on the stairs, accompanied by audible expressions of disgust upon the part of our landlady. Sounds French, yeah. It does, doesn't it? It's the Baker Street division of the detective police force. Whoa, said my companion gravely, and as he spoke, there rushed into the room half a dozen of the dirtiest and most ragged street Arabs that ever I clapped eyes on. "Attention," called Holmes in a sharp tone, and the 6 dirty little scoundrels stood in a line like so many disreputable statuettes. In future, you shall send up Wiggins alone to report, and the rest of you must wait in the street. Have you found it, Wiggins? Hamptor. So maybe... Okay, so I guess this isn't the police coming for Sherlock. He's working with them. Okay. No, sir, we hain't, said one of the youths. I hardly expected you would. You must keep on until you do. Here are your wages. He handed each one of them a shilling. Now, off you go, and come back with a better report next time. He waved his hand, and they scampered away downstairs like so many rats, and we heard their shrill voices next moment in the street. There's more work to be got out of one of those little beggars than out of a dozen of the force, Holmes remarked. The mere sight of an official-looking person seals men's lips. These youngsters... Oh, okay, I think my cat just left my room. These youngsters, however, go everywhere and hear everything. They are as sharp as needles, too. All they want is organization. I'm just reading chat just to make sure I'm not missing anything. No, I'm not. Perfect. Is it on this Brixton case that you are employing them? I asked. Yes. There is a point which I wish to ascertain. It is merely a matter of time. Hello! We are going to hear some news now with a vengeance. Here is Gregson coming down the road with beatitude written upon every feature of his face. Bound for us, I know. Yes, he is stopping. There he is. There was a violent peal at the bell, and in a few seconds, the fair-haired detective came up the stairs, 3 steps at a time, and burst into our sitting room. Wait. There was a cup of coffee in the water. That's funny. My dear fellow, he cried, wringing Holmes's unresponsive hand. Congratulate me. I have made the whole thing clear as day. A shade of anxiety seemed to me to cross my companion's expressive face. Do you mean that you are right on the track? He asked. The right track? Why, sir, we have the man under lock and key. And his name is? Arthur Charpentier, sub-lieutenant in Her Majesty's Navy, cried Gregson, pompously, rubbing his fat hands and inflating his chest. Sherlock Holmes gave a sigh of relief. Hi, Matvey. Is it Matvey or Matvey? Thank you for following. Gave a sigh of relief and relaxed into a smile. Take a seat and try one of these cigars, he said. We are anxious to know how you managed it. Will you have some whiskey and water? Wait. I am good. I'm just reading some Sherlock for the first time. How are you? Is it Matt V or Mate V? I would presume it's Matt V, maybe? And also the coolest preschool is funny. Also, hi, it's Mecca. Thank you for following too. I don't mind if I do, the detective answered. The tremendous exertions which I have gone through during the last day or two have worn me out. Not so much bodily exertion, you understand, as the strain upon the mind. That was a page turn. You will appreciate that, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, for we are both brain workers. You do me too much honor, said Holmes gravely. What? Yeah, you can be here. Wait, what happened? Maybe you can't be here, you got banned. Sorry. Clearly you can't. That's crazy. For we are both brain workers. You do me too much honor, said Holmes gravely. Benzo's quick on it. Maybe I missed something. Either way, appreciate you, Benzo. Let us hear how you arrived at this most gratifying result. The detective seated himself in the armchair and puffed complacently at his cigar. Then suddenly he slapped his thigh in a paroxysm of amusement. The fun of it is, he cried, that fool Lestrade, who thinks himself sorry. I'm sorry. Must have been the wind. I'm sorry, this is so funny to me. Gosh. Who thinks himself so smart has gone off upon the wrong track altogether. He's after the secretary Strangerson, who had no more to do with the crime than the babe unborn. I have no doubt that he has caught him by this time. The idea tickled Gregson so much that he laughed until he choked. And how did you get your clue? I'll tell you all about it. Of course, Dr. Watson, this is strictly between ourselves. The first difficulty which we had to contend with was the finding of this American's antecedents. Some people would have waited until their advertisements were answered, or until parties came forward and volunteered information. That is not Tobias Gregson's way of going to work. You remember the hat besides the dead man? Yes, said Holmes. By John Underwood and Sons, 129 Camberwell Road. Gregson looked quite crestfallen. I had no idea that you noticed that, he said. Have you been there? No. Ha! Cried Gregson in a relieved voice. You should never neglect a chance, however small it may seem. To a great mind, nothing is little, remarked Holmes sententiously. Well, I went to Underwood and asked him if he had sold a hat of that size and description. He looked over his books and came on it at once. He had sent the hat to a Mr. Drebber, residing at Charpenter's boarding establishment, Torquay Terrace. Thus, I got his address. Smart, very smart, murmured Sherlock Holmes. I next called upon Madame Charpenter, continued the detective. I found her very pale and distressed. Her daughter was in the room too. An uncommonly fine girl she is too. Oh, hi, the real one, Dennis. Thank you so much for following. An uncommonly fine girl she is too. She was looking red about the eyes, and her lips trembled as I spoke to her. That did not escape my notice. I began to smell a rat. You know the feeling, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, when you come upon the right scent, a kind of thrill in your nerves. Have you heard of the mysterious death of your late boarder, Mr. Enoch J. Drebber of Cleveland? I asked. The mother had nodded. She didn't seem able to get out a word. The daughter burst into tears. I felt more than ever that these people knew something of the matter. At what o'clock did Mr. Drebber leave your house for the train? I asked. At 8 o'clock, she said, gulping her throat to keep down her agitation. His secretary, Mr. Strangerson, said that there were 2 trains, one at 9:15 and one at 11. He was to catch the first. Rags, who are you proud of? Either way, let's go. And was that the last which you saw of him? A terrible change came over the woman's face as I asked the question. Her features turned perfectly livid. It was some seconds before she could get out the single word, yes, and when it did come, it was in a husky, unnatural tone. There was silence for a moment, and then the daughter spoke in a calm, clear voice. "No good can ever come of falsehood, Mother," she said. "Let us be frank with this gentleman. We did see Mr. Deborah again." "God forgive you," cried Madame Charpenter, throwing up her hands and sinking back into her chair. "You have murdered your brother." "What?" "Arthur would rather that we spoke the truth," the girl answered firmly. "You had best tell me all about it now," I said. "Half confidences are worse than none. Besides..." Oh my god. Not the foot. That's great. Oh my god. Taro. This is Sherlock Holmes's debut. I guess this is a novel. It's his debut novel. So we just met Sherlock at the start of this, and somebody has been murdered in, I don't know what I'd call it, a mansion, but they've been murdered in a house. And Sherlock and his companion, which is his roommate, which is Dr. Watson, I think, yeah, which is the POV of the book. They are together trying to solve who the murderer was. So that's what the book's about. And they were roommates. Okay. Okay, so I think we're just at, "On your head be it, Alice," cried her mother, and then, turning to me, "I will tell you all, sir. Do not imagine that my agitation on behalf of my son arises from any fear lest he should have had a hand in this terrible affair. He is utterly innocent of it. My dread is, however, that in your eyes and in the eyes of others, he may appear to be compromised. That, however, is surely impossible. His high character, his profession, his antecedents would all forbid it." "Your best way is to make a clean breast of the facts," I answered. "Depend upon it, if your son is innocent, he will be none the worse." "Perhaps, Alice, you had better leave us together," she said, and her daughter withdrew. "Now, sir," she continued, "I had no intention of telling you all this, but since my poor daughter has disclosed it..." Oh, we have a page turn. Hold on. Was that too loud? I'm so sorry. "I have no alternative. Having once decided to speak, I will tell you all without omitting any particular." W. Page. "It is your wisest course," said I. "Mr. Trevor had been with us nearly 3 weeks. He and his secretary, Mr. Strangerson, had been traveling on the continent. I noticed a Copenhagen label upon each of their trunks, showing that that had been their last stopping place. Strangerson was a quiet, reserved man, but his employer, I am sorry to say, was far otherwise. He was coarse in his habits and brutish in his ways. The very night of his arrival..." Thanks, Rex. What sparkly perverts? What are you on about? Am I missing something in chat? That's crazy. Okay. "The very night of his arrival, he became very much the worse for drink, and indeed, after 12 o'clock in the day, he could hardly ever be said to be sober. His manners towards the maidservants..." Hi, Rakion? Thank you so much for following. "His manners towards the maidservants were disgustingly free and familiar. Worst of all, he speedily assumed the same attitude towards my daughter, Alice and spoke to her more than once in a way which, fortunately, she is too innocent to understand. On one occasion, he actually seized her in his arms and embraced her, an outrage which caused his own secretary to reproach him for his unmanly conduct. Oh, are you talking about vampires? Who's to know? Who's to know? But why did you stand all this, I asked. I suppose that you can get rid of your boarders when you wish. Miss Charpenter blushed at my pertinent question. Would to God that I had given him notice on that very day that he came, she said. But it was a sore temptation. They were paying £1 a day each, £14 a week, and this is the slack season. I am a widow, and my boy in the Navy has cost me much. I grudged to lose the money. I acted for the best. This last was too much, however, and I gave him notice to leave on the account of it. That was the reason of his going. Hi, Violet. Hi. When I was getting ready, I saw that you were streaming. How did your stream go? Was it good? Well, my heart grew light when I saw him drive away. My son is on leave just now, but I did not tell him anything of all this, for his temper is violent, and he is passionately fond of his sister. Yay, I'm glad it went well. Let's go. When I closed the door behind them, oh, could we have a shout out for Valith? I would love to do that. Someone shout her out. When I closed the door behind them, a load seemed to be lifted from my mind. Alas, in less than an hour, there was a ring at the bell, and I learned that Mr. Drebber had returned. Don't thank me if no one does it. I'll do it myself. I got you. Hold on. Oh my god, I lost my place. I'll find it again later. Hold on, let me keep my shout out. Oh, okay. Thanks, guy. Thank you. Gosh. Yeah, exactly. We got it, though. We got it. Okay. When I closed the door behind them, a load seemed to be lifted from my mind. Alas, in less than an hour, there was a ring at the bell, and I learned that Mr. Drebber had returned. He was much excited, and evidently the worse for drink. He forced his way into the room where I was sitting with my daughter and made some incoherent remark about having missed his train. He then turned to Alice, and before my very face, proposed to her that she should fly with him. Huh? What? You are of age, he said, and there is no law to stop you. I have money enough, and to spare. Never mind the old girl here, but come along with me now, straight away. You shall live like a princess. Poor vampires, yeah. You watch out, Squid. Valith herself is a vampire, so you better be nice. Poor Alice was so frightened that she shrunk away from him, but he caught her by the wrist and endeavored to draw her towards the door. I screamed, and at that moment my son Arthur came into the room. What happened then, I do not know. I heard oaths and the confused sound of a scuffle. I was too terrified to raise my head. When I did look up, I saw Arthur standing in the doorway laughing, with a stick in his hand. I don't think that fine fellow will trouble us again, he said. I will go after him and see what he does with himself. With those words, he took his hat and started off down the street. The next morning, we heard of Mr. Drebber's mysterious death. Okay, so the proposition is that this lady's son killed the dude because he was getting handsy with the murderer's sister. But I feel like it's not going to be that easy. I don't think it's gonna be that solvable. It wouldn't be a proper mystery novel if it was that easy, you know? This statement came from Miss Charpenter's lips with many gasps and pauses. At times, she spoke so low. It's always the butler. She spoke so low that I could hardly catch the words. I made shorthand notes of all that she said, however, so that there should be no possibility of a mistake. That's right. Alfred's the goat. Alfred's amazing. It's quite exciting, said Sherlock Holmes with a yawn. With a yawn? He is sassy. What happened next? When Miss Charpenter paused, the detective continued. I saw that the whole case hung upon one point. Fixing her with my eye in a way which I always found effective with women, I asked her at what hour her son returned. I do not know, she answered. Not know? No, he has a latchkey. Apologies for my chair. No, he has a latchkey and he let himself in. Oh my god, my chair. After you went to bed? Yes. When did you go to bed? About 11. So your son was gone at least 2 hours. Yes. Possibly 4 or 5? Yes. What was he doing during that time? I do not know, she answered, turning white to her very lips. I think she does know. Thong. Oh my god, there was a thong in the kid. Why can you catch a thong? It's crazy. Of course, after that, there was nothing more to be done. I found out where Lieutenant Charpenter was, took 2 officers with me, and arrested him. When I touched him on the shoulder and warned him to come quietly with us, he answered us as bold as brass. I suppose you are arresting me for being considered in the death of that scoundrel Drebber, he said. We had said nothing to him about it, so that his alluding to it had a most suspicious effect. Very, said Holmes. I don't think he did it. He still carried the heavy stick, which the mother described him as having with him when we followed Drebber. It was a stout oak cudgel. What is your theory, then? Well, my theory is that he followed Drebber as far as the Brixton Road. When there, a fresh altercation arose between them, in the course of which Drebber received a blow from the stick in the pit of the stomach. There was no, bruise. Thank you. I apologize. I'm not certain how to say your name. F0501923206. Thank you. Oh, that was my thumb. Apologies. But wasn't there no bruises or injuries on the victim? Because he took poison. That's how he died. So this does not add up. Anyways. In the pit of the stomach, perhaps, which killed him without leaving any mark. Oh, okay. Sorry, the book. I should have just kept reading. The night was so wet that no one was about, so Charpenter dragged the body of his victim into the empty house. As to the candle and the blood and the writing on the wall and the ring, they may all be so many tricks to throw the police onto the wrong scent. Oh no, Squid. You're dueling Faye? That's crazy. Well done, said Holmes in an encouraging voice. Really, Gregson, you're getting along. We shall make something of you yet. I flatter myself that I have managed it rather neatly, the detective answered proudly. The young man volunteered a statement in which he said that after following Drebber, hi Alex, thank you for following, that after following Drebber some time, the latter perceived him and took a cab in order to get away from him. On his way home, he met an old shipmate and took a long walk with him. On being asked where this old shipmate lived, he was unable to give any satisfactory reply. I think the whole case fits together uncommonly well. What amuses me is to think of Lestrade who had been started off upon the wrong scent. I am afraid he won't make much of. Why, by Jove, here's the very man himself. It was indeed Lestrade, who had been ascended the stairs while we were talking, and who now entered the room. The assurance and jauntiness which generally marked his demeanor and dress were, however, wanting. His face was disturbed and troubled, while his clothes were disarranged and untidy. He had evidently come with the intention of consulting with Sherlock Holmes, for on perceiving his colleague, he appeared to be embarrassed and put out. He stood in the center of the room, fumbling nervously with his hat and uncertain what to do. This is a most extraordinary case, he said at last. A most incomprehensible affair. Ah, you find it so, Mr. Lestrade, cried Gregson triumphantly. I thought you would come to that conclusion. Have you managed to find the secretary, Mr. Joseph Stangerson? The secretary, Mr. Joseph Stangerson, said Lestrade gravely, was murdered at Holliday's private hotel about 6 o'clock this morning. Oh no. Well, we got a double murder all of a sudden. That's no bueno. Okay, I will be right back. I have to use the restroom. I drank a lot of sweet tea earlier, and then you guys made me hydrate. So you gotta give me a second. Let me go use the restroom. I'll be right back. Okay, right back. Well, how are you gonna say murderer? What? How are you gonna say murderer? Benzo didn't do anything. Very serious accusation. Wow. Oh, Benzo's our not our victim. What's the word I'm looking for? A perpetrator. Benzo's the perpetrator. I'll keep that in mind. Thankfully, this story's already been written, so if it's him, it'll tell us at the end. But alright, we got a new chapter. Oh, bless you. My cat just sneezed. Okay, so the fact that the secretary is dead now, too, is interesting. Is someone going... Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks. And thank you for the bless you. Is someone going after them because they're American? Or is someone going after them because they're involved in something deeper that we don't know about? That's the question. Alright. Chapter 7. Light in the Darkness. The intelligence with which Lestrade greeted us was so momentous and so unexpected. Oh, hi Maddie Blocks, thank you for following. Thank you. Welcome to my domain. Oh, word. Gregson's, and so unexpected that we were all three fairly dumbfounded. Gregson sprang out of his chair and upset the remainder of his whiskey and water. I stared in silence at Sherlock Holmes, whose lips were compressed and his brows drawn down over his eyes. "Strangerson, too," he muttered. "The plot thickens." "It was quite thick enough before," grumbled Lestrade, taking a chair. I seemed to have dropped into a sort of council of war. Are you sure of this piece of intelligence?" stammered Gregson. "I have just come from his room," said Lestrade. "I was the first to discover what had occurred." "We have been hearing Gregson's view of the matter," Holmes observed. "Would you mind letting us know what you have seen and done?" Domain expansion. I love JJK. "I have no objection," Lestrade answered, seating himself. "I freely confess that I was of the opinion that Strangerson was concerned in the death of Trevor." "Hi, Luke. Hello." This fresh development has shown me that I was completely mistaken. Full of the one idea, I set myself to find out what had become of the secretary. They had been seen together at Easton Station about 8:30 on the evening of the 3rd. What book am I reading? I am currently reading A Study in Scarlet, which is Sherlock Holmes' debut novel. It's the very first one that he makes an appearance in. So, we're reading some mystery, trying to figure out who's killing who. It's pretty fun. Full of one idea. Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. We already read that. Okay. At 2 a.m, Trevor had been found in the Brixton Road. The question which confronted me was to find out how Strangerson had been employed between 8:30 and the time of the crime, and what had become of him afterwards. This is my first time having any interaction with Sherlock Holmes. I never watched the TV show that got really popular or anything, so I'm having a great time. I telegraphed to Liverpool, gifting a description of the man and warning them to keep a watch upon the American boats. Yeah, I'm using the Twilight Saga New Moon as the physical book that I'm turning. So I hope that's okay with everybody. Also, I sound like your aunt. That's pretty cool, honestly. That's sweet. And warning them to keep a watch upon the American boats. I then set to work, calling upon all the hotels and lodging houses in the vicinity of Easton. You see, I argued that if Trevor... Thanks for following, Luke. The deception is real, for sure, and yes, Twilight's amazing. You see, I argued that if Trevor and his companion had become separated, the natural course for the latter would be to put up somewhere in the vicinity for the night and then to hang about the station again next morning. Oh, hi Chatsy. Guys, this is my mom's other cat. She has 5 cats, I have 1. We have a new cat to join us. The issue is that this cat is named Chatsy for, well, you can guess how chatty she is. She loves to talk. Chatsy, baby. Oh, no, do not hit them. Chatsy, stop hitting the mic. No. Chatty. Chatty, honey bunny. You gotta settle down. Uh-huh. Yep, yes ma'am. You just gotta settle down. You just gotta lay down. Come on. Lay down, baby girl. I gotta read. You gotta lay down. Chat. No, you cannot be in the microphone. Chatty, stop. Hold on, I'm gonna mute. Okay, she's now trying to bite the cord of my in-ear monitors. Girl. I'm gonna have to take you off my lap at this point. Yeah, no. You're getting put down. Hold on. Okay, I hope none of that was too loud. Okay. They would be likely to agree on some meeting place beforehand. But pension. I know you meant to say petition. But to replace her with me? What the heck? Wait, replace me with her? What the heck? So it proved. I spent the whole of yesterday evening in making inquiries entirely without avail. This morning, I began very early, and at 8 o'clock, I reached Halliday's private hotel in Little George Street. On my inquiry as to whether a Mr. Strangerson was living there, they at once answered me in the affirmative. No doubt you're the gentleman whom he was expecting, they said. He has been waiting for a gentleman for 2 days. Where is he now? I asked. It's okay, Luke. It's okay. He is upstairs in bed. He wished to be called at 9. I will go up and see him at once, I said. It seemed to me that my sudden appearance might shake his nerves and lead him to say something unguarded. The Boots volunteered to show me the room. It was on the 2nd floor, and there was a small corridor leading up to it. The Boots pointed out the door to me and was about to go downstairs again when I saw something that made me feel sickish, in spite of my 20 years' experience. From under the door there curled a little red ribbon of blood, which had been meandered across the passage and formed a little pool along the skirting at the other side. I gave a cry, which brought the Boots back. He nearly fainted when he saw it. The door was locked on the inside, but we put our shoulders to it and it knocked in. The window of the room was open, and besides the window, all huddled up, lay the body of a man in his nightdress. He was quite dead, and had been for some time, for his limbs were rigid and cold. When we turned him over, the Boots recognized him at once as being the same gentleman who had engaged the room under the name of Joseph Strangerson. The cause of death was a deep stab in the left side, which must have penetrated the heart. And now comes the strangest part of the affair. What do you suppose was above the murdered man? Oh, okay, bye, Faye. Bye. You'll strike later. What? Crazy. A nightdress. Yeah, maybe he was wearing a dress to sleep. I don't know. I felt a creeping of the flesh and a presentiment of coming horror, even before Sherlock Holmes answered. The word Raish, written in letters of blood, he said. That was it, said Lestrade, in an awe-struck voice, and we were all... OMG, I didn't close my door back after I used it. Hold on. I'm sure my toilet's kind of loud. 2 seconds. Let me go close it. No, that was not a vacuum. That was my toilet. I have my own personal bathroom right next to my desk. And the toilet was just going. And now my dog is trying to leave the room. OMG. Your dad wears your mom's nightgowns. Okay. There was something so methodical and so incomprehensible about the deeds of this unknown assassin that it imparted a fresh ghastliness to his crimes. My nerves, which were steady enough on the field of battle, tingled as I thought of it. The man was seen, continued Lestrade. A milk boy, passing on his way to the dairy, happened to walk down the lane which leads from the mews at the back of the hotel. He noticed that a ladder, which usually lay there, was raised against one of the windows of the second floor, which was wide open. After passing, he looked back and saw a man descend the ladder. He came down so quietly and openly that the boy imagined him to be some carpenter or joiner at work in the hotel. He took no particular notice of him, beyond thinking in his own mind that it was early for him to be at work. He had an impression that the man was tall, had a reddish face, and was dressed in a long, brownish coat. He must have stayed in the room some little time after the murder, for we found blood-stained water in the basin where he had washed his hands, and marks on the sheets where he had deliberately wiped his knife. That's funny. You guys are funny. Why do clothes have to be assigned to a gender? You guys could wear dresses. I glanced at Holmes on hearing the description of the murderer, which tallied so exactly with his own. There was, however, no trace of exultation or satisfaction above his face. Oversized hoodies. Yep. Did you find nothing in the room which would furnish a clue to the murderer? He asked. Nothing. Strangerson had Drebber's purse in his pocket, but it seemed that this was usual, and he did all the paying. There was 80-odd pounds in it, but nothing had been taken. Whatever the motives of these extraordinary crimes, robbery is certainly not one of them. There were no papers or memoranda in the murdered man's pocket, except a single telegram dated from Cleveland about a month ago and containing the words, J.H. is in Europe. There was no name appended to this message. And there was nothing else? Holmes asked. Nothing of any importance. The man's novel, with which he had read himself to sleep, was lying upon the bed, and his pipe was on a chair beside him. There was a glass of water on the table, and on the windowsill a small chip ointment box containing a couple of pills. Sherlock Holmes sprang from his chair with an exclamation of delight. The last link, he cried exultantly. My case is complete. Huh? What? Sherlock just figured it out. What? The two detectives stared at him in amazement. I have now in my hands, my companion said confidently, all the threads which have formed such a tangle. There are, of course, details to be filled in, but I am as certain of all the main facts, from the time that Drebber parted from Strangerson at the station up to the discovery of the body of the latter, as if I had seen them with my own eyes. I will give you a proof of my knowledge. Could you lay your hand upon those pills? Yeah, you guys have fun moving to Ireland. I have them, said Lestrade, producing a small white box. I took them, and the purse, and the telegram, intending to have them put in a place of safety at the police station. It was the merest chance, my taking these pills, for I am bound to say that I do not attach any importance to them. Give them here, said Holmes. Now, doctor, turning to me, are those ordinary pills? You would ride your horse, I presume you mean? Oh my god, say hello. Hi, thank you for the raid. Hi, everybody. Ooh, the Arcane Cathedral. That's so cute. Oh, that's such a fun one. Oh, awesome. I love that raid message. Hi, guys. How was your stream? Did you have a good one? Oh, yes. Oh, are you also Prism? Yes. Prism sisters. Let's go. I love the Prism model so much. She's so cute. I'm gonna have to check you out later. I love supporting fellow Prism sisters. let's go. Calico. Oh, did you do? Hold on. Benjamin. Fine, whatever. Zimmerman, thank you for the follow. Yes, it is such a good one. Hi, Koma. Oh, you're also a VTuber. I see from your name. Hi. Also, if you're a Calico, did you do texture edits? So that you could get your spots and stuff? Because I don't think that's something you can do naturally, I don't think. Unless maybe it's something they've added recently. I haven't really changed my model to see what's new. Yeah, Squid. Now that Faye's gone, you probably got it. You think the cat? Your partner's an artist. Oh, he did the texture edit. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited to check you out after this and see what you look like. I'm so excited. That'll be awesome. Thank you again for coming and raiding. I hope everybody enjoys. Oh, okay. They did your character design and they made you custom assets. That's so sweet. That's awesome. Oh, it's awesome. That's so nice of them. That's fun. I'll have to look. If it's in your panels, I'll have to look and take a little gander at everybody. Cats are little demons. Taro. Hydrate. Okay. That's so funny. Okay. Oh no, not another hydrate. Another one. Okay. More water. Literally, Squid. That's right. Don't go accusing Salem of anything. I'm sure they're phenomenal. They would never murder anybody. 2 people, to be specific. And thank you for the follow. Okay, where exactly was I? Oh, yeah, it's okay. It happens. Twitch is weird sometimes. Okay. Sherlock had just asked the doctor. Oh, which everybody. We're reading the very first Sherlock Holmes book by the Coma. Whoa. Hi everybody. Hello. Oh, this is so many follows. Hold on. Okay. Aura and Pendule and Verxify and Astro and Regent and Bacon and Coma and Phantom and Blonde and is it Ties and Dark Clover. Thank you everybody for following. And hi. And Grim Reaper. And Little Rat who likes cheese. I love that name. And Rex. And Envo. Oh, okay, I'll stretch. Hold on. Oh, that was good, thank you. Hi everybody. Oh, headbands. Thank you. Thank you. Summoner raid. That's cool. Yeah. Hi everybody. Hi everyone. Coma, did you have a wonderful stream? Oh, and Lemon, thank you for the follow. Another stretch. Okay, I'll do another one. Big stretches, thank you. Oh, that's my toilet. My cat opened the door. Oh. So he came in and he... Oh, another hydrant. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Sleepy, thank you for the follow. And Tyler, thank you for the follow. Oh, your stream was very cozy. An EP. Oh, let's go. Did you try anything new? Or were you just doing what you were always doing and it was just a really good one? Did you you have any new triggers or anything that you did? I don't want to dry out. You're so right. The sea dog can't be dehydrated. That'd be crazy. Oh, and Moth, thank you for the follow. Lotion rub. Ooh. I haven't heard lotion a lot, but I've liked what I've heard. I will have to tune in. I might go check out your VOD. See what it all sounds like. Oh, thank you, little rat. Thank you so much. I'm a Samoyed. I don't know if you know that dog breed, but I am a Samoyed, but mixed with like a sea theme. So you can tell, like, with my little gills, my fins, and you know, my blue tips and everything. So, and yes, we have fishing. Fish. Okay, bye, Lou. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you again. Bye, good night. Okay, so everyone, to catch you all up, I am reading the very first Sherlock Holmes books. Yes, Samoyeds are so cute. THCN Etchy? Thank you for the follow. It's okay. They are cute. It was worth the caps lock. Fish sticks. Yeah, true. But we're reading the very first Sherlock Holmes book, A Study in Scarlet. And this is my first time having any sort of Sherlock media. So I'm having a really fun time learning just how sassy this man is. He does not care. He will say whatever he wants. He's great. He is so funny. Gosh, we are probably about halfway through the novel. We have just discovered that there is not one murder, but there's two. So, Red and Dot Hacker, thank you both for the follows. Thank you. So, I'm gonna get back to it. Oh my god. Wait, that's so cute. Rosta, thank you for the follow. They have, so 221 B Baker Street. Oh, Blades, thank you for the follow. But that's a real place, and they like sell the Sherlock Holmes books from it. That's so cute. Oh, that's awesome. Bannon, thank you so much for the follow. Oh, thank you, Dot. Thank you. Oh, Reggae, thank you so much for the follow. Derper, thank you for the follow. I'm Miku. Let's go. I love Miku. Thank you for the follow. Kobe, thank you for the follow too. Oh my gosh, where are these follows coming from? Renegade, thank you for the follow. Many appreciations. Milwaukee, thank you for the follow as well. We have far succeeded my follow goal. And I'm glad you are here, Derper. Thank you so much. Alright. Now, doctor, turning to me, are these ordinary pills? They certainly were not. They were of a pearly gray color, small, round, and almost transparent against the light. From their lightness and transparency, I should imagine that they are soluble in water, I remarked. The ears and curly hair. Wait, okay, I've only seen the first season of ReZero. I really need to watch the rest of it. It's Echidna. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That name does not sound familiar to me, but then again, I did watch it like back in 2018 when it came out, so I'm probably forgetting people. And Mr. Manager, thank you for the follow. I really do have to watch more. I loved ReZero when I watched it. I watched it like 3 times. Oh, okay. Imiku. Okay, I got you. Imiku. I will fix it. Precisely so, answered Holmes. Now would you mind going down and fetching that poor little devil of a terrier which has been bad so long, and which the landlady wanted you to put out of its pain yesterday? When did they get a dog? Wait, did they always have a dog? Wait, Was this something mentioned in the first chapter that never got mentioned again? It might have been. I do not remember. Oh, headpads. Thank you. Thank you for the headpads, Jerry. And hi, welcome in. I went downstairs and carried the dog upstairs in my arms. Its labored breathing and glazing eye. Wait, are they about to kill this dog with these pills? Oh my god. Please. Please do not kill this dog. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, I'm so scared. It's labored breathing. Hi, Swinky. Thank you for the follow. I'm so scared. Yeah, the dog's the killer, for sure. Oh my god, okay. Its labored breathing and glazing eye show that it was not far from its end. I don't care. If the dog is about to die, you cannot kill it yourselves. Indeed, its snow-white muzzle proclaimed that it had already exceeded the usual term of canine existence. Oh no, I placed it down upon a cushion on the rug. Oh no, they're about to kill this thing. Oh no. Wait, Swinky. Oh, Swinky Cheese is scared of the little rat who likes cheese. That makes sense. I will now cut one of these pills in two, said Holmes, and drawing his penknife, he suited the action to the word. One half we return into the box for future purposes. The other half I will place in this wine glass. Also, why did my model stop? Okay, she's better. The other half I will place in this wine glass, in which is a teaspoonful of water. You must perceive that our friend, the doctor, is right. Apologies. And then it readily dissolves. Yeah, guys, this is scary. This may be very interesting, said Lestrade, in the injured tone of one of who suspects that he is being laughed at. I cannot see, however, what it has to do with the death of Mr. Joseph Stangerson. Well, the other dude was killed with poison. So, I mean, this is probably the poison. But Stangerson was killed by a knife wound to the heart. So why does he have the pills in his room? That is strange. Okay. Patience, my friend, patience. You will find in time that it has everything to do with it. I shall now add a little milk to make the mixture palpable, and upon presenting it to the dog, we find that he laps it up readily enough. Guys, am I allowed to read this as a fellow dog? Am I allowed to read about a dog murder? Literally, this is horrible. Only Eggie, thank you for the follow. As he spoke, he turned the contents of the wine glass into a... Yeah, we're gonna kill the dog in Minecraft, not in real life. It's just in Minecraft. It's not real. Of the wine glass into a saucer and placed it in front of the terrier, who speedily licked it dry. Sherlock Holmes's earnest demeanor had so far convinced us that we all sat in silence, watching the animal intently, and expecting some startling effect. None such appeared, however. The dog continued to lie stretched upon the cushion, breathing in a labored way, but apparently neither the better nor the worse for its drought. Maybe the dog's okay. Maybe it's okay. Holmes had taken out his watch, and as minute followed minute without result, an expression of the utmost chagrin and disappointment. Oh, hi, I saw this boat in half. Hey, thanks for the follow. He gnawed his lip, drummed his fingers upon the table, and showed every other symptom of acute impatience. So great was his emotion that I felt sincerely sorry for him, while the two detectives smiled derisively, by no means displeased at this check which he had met. Meow. Meow. Oh, again, apologies for my toilet. The door's open. I'm a dog, so I can woof. But I don't. I. Thank you for the follow support. Everyone's going crazy with these emotes. Oh no, it's literally just been. Oh, okay. Far. It can't be a coincidence, he cried, at last springing from his chair and pacing wildly up and down the room. It is impossible. Hi, monkey. Thank you for the follow. It is impossible that it should be a mere coincidence. The very pills which I suspected in the case of Trevor are actually found after the death of Strangerson, and yet they are inert. What can it mean? Surely my whole chain of reasoning cannot have been false. It is impossible. And yet this wretched dog is none the worse. Ah, I have it. With a perfect shriek of delight, he rushed to the box, cut the other pill in two. Oh, they just gave him the antidote. Oh, they gave him the antidote before the poison. Oh, the dog is going to die. Oh, no. Guys, I hate this. Dissolved it, added milk, and presented it to the terrier. Oh, the unfortunate creature's tongue seemed hardly to have been moistened in it. Okay, I'm sorry. I just don't want to read this. It's so sad. The creature's tongue seemed hardly to have been moistened in it before it gave a convulsive shiver in every limb and lay as rigid and lifeless as if it had been struck by lightning. Guys, I don't know my toggles for crying because I never have to use them, but I am sad. I am sad. Hi, Royce, thank you for the follow. Let me see if this is it. It probably isn't. No, that didn't do anything. Oh my god, I don't even know what this did. Get out. Okay, I'm not even gonna worry about it, but I'm crying, okay? It's sad. It's just in Minecraft, you're right. The dog died in Minecraft, not in real life. We're okay. Sherlock Holmes drew a long breath and wiped the precipitation from his forehead. I should have more faith, he said. I ought to know by this time that when a fact appears to be opposed to a long train of deductions, it invariably proves to be capable of bearing some other interpretation. Of the two pills in that box, one was the most deadly poison, and the other was entirely harmless. I ought to have known that before I ever saw the box at all. The last statement appeared to me to be so startling that I could hardly believe that he was in over his sober senses. There was the dead dog, however. Fifth Lord of Sheep, thank you for the follow. There was the dead dog, however, to prove that his conjecture had been correct. It seemed to me that the mists in my own mind were gradually clearing away, and I began to have a dim, vague perception of the truth. All this seems strange to you, continued Holmes, because you failed at the beginning of the inquiry to grasp the importance of the single real clue which was presented to you. I had the good fortune to seize upon that, and everything which has occurred since then has served to confirm my original supposition, and indeed was the logical sequence of it. My pupils are so cool. You see the little paw prints in them? They're cute. Hence things which have perplexed you and made the case more obscure have served to enlighten me and to strengthen my conclusions. It is a mistake to confound strangeness with mystery. The most commonplace crime is often the most mysterious because it presents no new or special features from which deductions may be drawn. This murder would have been infinitely more difficult to unravel had the body of the victim been simply found lying in the roadway without any of those Latin, and sensational accompaniments which have rendered it remarkable. These strange details, far from making the case more difficult, have really had the effect of making it less so. Okay, everybody. Basically, Sherlock is letting us all know in the future, if you have to kill somebody, put them in the road. Do not try and cover it up. Just throw them out there and you're good. Mr. Gregson, who had listened to this address. Okay, yeah. With considerable... Oh, is it Jose Lopan? Jose Lopan? Thank you for the follow, either way. Sorry for mispronouncing it. Mr. Gregson, who had listened to this address with considerable impatience, could contain himself no longer. Look here, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, he said. Is this Ildos? You guys are killing me. Either way, thank you for the follow. Look here, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, he said. We are all ready to acknowledge that you are a smart man and that you have your own methods of working. We want something more than mere theory and preaching now, though. It is a case of taking the man. I have made my case out, and it seems I was wrong. Young Charpenter could not have been engaged in this second affair. Lestrade went after his man, Strangerson, and appears that he was wrong too. Hi Zachary, thank you for the follow. You have thrown out hints here and hints there, and seem to know more than we do, but the time has come when we feel that we have a right to ask you straight, how much do you know of the business? Can you name the man who did it? I cannot help feeling that Gregson is right, sir, remarked Lestrade. We have both tried, and we have both failed. Hi Zelter, thank you for the follow. You have remarked more than once, since I have been in the room, that you had all the evidence with which you require. Surely you will not withhold it any longer. Any delay in arresting the assassin, I observed, might give him time to perpetrate some fresh atrocity. Yay, Jean, thank you for the follow. And I'm good, I'm glad. I hope I can help you fall asleep, that'd be awesome. Thus, pressed by us all, Holmes showed signs of irresolution. Hi, Vengeance Seeker, thank you for the follow. Yeah, my follow goal is so knocked out of the water. That is awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thus, pressed by us all, Holmes showed signs of irresolution. He continued to walk up and down the room with his head sunk on his chest and his brows drawn down, and was his habit when lost in thought. There will be no more murders, he said at last, stopping abruptly and facing us. You can put that consideration out of the question. You have asked me if I know the name of the assassin. I do. The mere knowing of his name is a small thing, however, compared with the power of laying our hands upon him. This I expect very shortly to do. I have good hopes of managing it through my own arrangements, but it is a thing which needs delicate handling, for we have a shrewd and desperate man to deal with, who is supported, as I have had occasion to prove, by another who is as clever as himself. As long as this man has no idea that anyone can have a clue, there is some chance of securing him. But if he had the slightest suspicion, he would change his name and vanish in an instant among the 4 million inhabitants of this great city. Without meaning to hurt either of your feelings, I am bound to say that I consider these men to be more than a match for the official force, and that is why I have not asked your assistance. Sherlock is so sassy. Oh, gosh. Okay, found it. If I fail, I shall, of course, incur all the blame due to this omission, but that I am prepared for. At present, I am ready to promise that the instant that I can communicate with you without endangering my own combinations, I shall do so. Gregson and Lestrade had pads. Thank you. Thank you so much. Gregson and Lestrade seemed to be far from satisfied by this assurance, or by the depreciating allusion to the detective police. The former had flushed up to the roots of his flaxen hair, while the other's beady eyes glistened with curiosity and resentment. Neither of them had time to speak, however, before there was a tap at the door, and the spokesman of the street Arabs, young Wiggins, introduced his insignificant and unsavory person. "Please, sir," he said, touching his forelock, "I have the cab downstairs." "Good boy," said Holmes blandly. "Why don't you introduce this pattern at Scotland Yard?" he continued, taking a pair of steel handcuffs from a drawer. "See how beautifully the spring works. They fasten in an instant." "The old pattern is good enough," remarked Lestrade, "if we can only find the man to put them on." very good," said Holmes, smiling. "The cabman may as well help me with my boxes. Just ask him to step up, Wiggins." I was surprised to find my companion speaking as though he were about to set out on a journey, since he had not said anything to me about it. There was a small portmanteau in the room, and this he pulled out and began to strap. He was busily engaged at it when the cabman entered the room. "Just give me a help with this buckle, cabman," he said, kneeling over his task and never turning his head. The fellow came forward with a somewhat sullen, defiant air, and put down his hands to assist. "Hi, Darda Pitsy. Thank you so much for following." At that instant, there was a sharp click, the jangling of metal, and Sherlock Holmes sprang to his feet again. "Gentlemen," he cried, his eyes flashing, "let me introduce you to Mr. Jefferson Hope, the murderer, oh my god, of Enoch Drebber and of Joseph Strangerson." Wait. Wait. The cabman's the murderer? Wait, is that what he's saying? Is he saying the cab driver murdered them? Oh my god. What? The whole thing occurred in a moment, so quickly that I had no time to realize it. I have a vivid recollection of that instant, of Holmes's triumphant expression and the ring of his voice. Oh my god, it is the cabman's dazed, savage face as he glared at the glittering handcuffs which had appeared as if by magic upon his wrists. For a second or two, we might have been a group of statues. Then, with an inarticulate roar of fury, the prisoner wrenched himself free from Holmes's grasp and hurled himself through the window. He just jumped through the window to try and escape. What the heck? Woodwork and glass gave way before him, but before he got quite through, Gregson, Lestrade, and Holmes sprang upon him like so many staghounds. "Hi, Volpa, thank you for following." He was dragged back into the room, and then commenced a terrific conflict. So powerful and so fierce was he that the four of us were shaken off again and again. He appeared to have the convulsive strength of a man in an epileptic fit. His face and hands were terribly mangled by his passage through the glass, but loss of blood had no effect in diminishing his resistance. It was not until Lestrade succeeded in getting his hand inside his neckcloth and half strangling him that we made him realize that his struggles were of no avail, and even then we felt no security until we had pinned his feet as well as his hands. That done, we rose to our feet, breathless and panting. "We have his cab," said Sherlock Holmes. "It will serve to take him to Scotland Yard." Casa Evier, maybe? Thank you so much for following. "And now, gentlemen," he continued with a pleasant smile, "we have reached the end of our little mystery. You are very welcome to put any questions that you like to me now, and there is no danger that I will refuse to answer them. OMG. Oh, I had like 2 pages of blank. It's because that was part 1. Now we're in part 2. There's a whole second part of this book. There's so much more. Okay, but this is part 2. The Country of the Saints. Oh, chapter 1. Okay. Of the Great Alkali Plain. And hi, Cool Money. Thank you so much for following. In the central portion of the great North American continent, there lies an arid and repulsive desert. Hi, Dilfix. Thank you so much for following. There lies an arid and repulsive desert, which, for many a long year, served as a barrier against the advance of civilization. From the Sierra Nevada to Nebraska, and from the Yellowstone River in the north to the Colorado upon the south, is a region of desolation and silence. Nor is nature always in one mood throughout this grim district. It comprises snow-capped and lofty mountains and dark and gloomy valleys. There are swift flowing rivers which dash through jagged canyons, and there are enormous plains which in winter are white with snow and in summer are gray with the saline alkali dust. They all preserve oh, you yelled that you lost your gamble. Okay. They all preserve, however, the common characteristics of barrenness, inhospitality, and misery. There are no inhabitants of this land of despair. A band of Pawnees or of Blackfeet may occasionally traverse it in order to reach other hunting grounds, but the hardiest of the braves are glad to lose sight of those awesome plains and to find themselves once more upon their prairies. The coyote skulls among the scrub. Hi, Paladin. Thank you so much for following. The buzzard flaps heavily through the air, and the clumsy grizzly bears lumber through the dark ravines and picks up such sustenance as it can amongst the rocks. These are the sole dwellers in the wilderness. In the whole world, there can be no more dreary view than that from the northern slope of the Sierra Blanco. As far as the eye can reach stretches the great flat plainland, all dusted over with patches of alkali and intersected by clumps of the dwarfish chaparral bushes. On the extreme verge of the horizon lie a long chain of mountain peaks with their rugged summits flecked with snow. In this great stretch of country there is no sign of life, nor of anything appertaining to life. There is no bird in the steel blue heaven, no movement upon the dull gray earth. Above all, there is absolute silence. Listen as one may, there is no shadow of a sound in all that mighty wilderness. Nothing but silence, complete and heart-subduing silence. It has been said there is nothing more appertaining to life upon the broad plain. That is hardly true. Looking down from the Sierra Blanco, one sees a pathway traced out upon the desert, which winds away and is lost in the extreme distance. It is rutted with wheels and trodden down by the feet of many adventurers. Here and there are scattered white objects which glisten in the sun and stand out against the dull deposit of alkali. Approach and examine them. They are bones. Oh, some large and coarse, others smaller and more delicate. The former have belonged to oxen, and the latter to men. For 1,500 miles, one may trace this ghastly caravan route by these scattered remains of those who have fallen by the wayside. Looking down on this very scene, there stood upon the 4th of May, 1847, a solitary traveler. His appearance was such that he might have been the very genius or demon of the region. Any observer would have found it difficult to say whether he was nearer to 40 or to 60. His face was lean and haggard, and the brown, parchment-like skin was drawn tightly over the projecting bones. His long, brown hair and beard were all flecked and dashed with white. His eyes were sunken in his head and burned with an unnatural luster, while the hand, which grasped his rifle, was hardly more fleshy than that of a skeleton. As he stood, he leaned upon his weapon for support, and yet his tall figure and the massive framework of his bones suggested a wiry and vigorous constitution. His gaunt face, however, and his clothes, which hung so baggily over his shriveled limbs, proclaimed what it was that gave him that senile and decrepit appearance. The man was dying from hunger and from thirst. Yeah, that makes sense. He had toiled painfully down the ravine and on to this little elevation in the vain hope of seeing some signs of water. Also, can you do another raffle? So, once again, I don't know if it's Ildos, however you pronounce your name, so that they can join Benzo or Kai or anybody else. Please and thank you. Now the great salt plain stretched before his eyes, and the distance belt of savage mountains, without a sign anywhere of plant or tree, which might... They didn't do it, so once I finish this paragraph, if no one did it, I'll do it for you. Now the great salt plain stretched before his eyes, and the distant belt of savage mountains, without a sign anywhere of plant or tree, which might indicate the presence of moisture. In all that broad landscape, there was no gleam of hope. North and east and west. Headpats. Thank you. Thank you so much. In west, he looked with wild, questioning eyes, and then he realized that his wanderings had come to an end, and that there, on that barren crag, he was about to die. Why not here, as well as in a feather bed, 20 years hence, he muttered, as he seated himself in the shelter of a boulder. Okay, I finished my paragraph. Let me get you a raffle. I hope my keyboard isn't too loud. Okay, there you go. You should be able to join that one. Before sitting down, he had deposited upon the ground his useless rifle, and also a large bundle tied up in a gray shawl, which he had carried slung over his right shoulder. It appeared to be somewhat too heavy for his strength, for in lowering it, it came down on the ground with some little violence. Instantly, there broke from the gray parcel a little moaning cry. Wait, huh? What? And from it there protruded a small, scarred face with very bright brown eyes and two little speckled, dimpled fists. Is this person carrying a child? I am so confused. You've hurt me, said a childish voice, reproachfully. Have I, though? The man answered penitently. I didn't go for to do it. As he spoke, he unwrapped the gray shawl and extricated a pretty little girl of about 5 years of age, whose dainty shoes and smart pink frock with its little linen apron all bespoke a mother's care. The child was pale and wan, but her healthy arms and legs showed that she had suffered less than her companion. How is it now? He answered anxiously, for she was still rubbing the towsy golden curls which covered the back of her head. Kiss it and make it well, she said, with perfect gravity, shoving the injured part up to him. That's what Mother used to do. Where's Mother? Mother's gone. I guess you'll see her before long. That's terrible. Gone, eh? Said the little girl. Funny. She didn't say goodbye. She most always did if she was just going over to Auntie's for tea. And now she's been away for 3 days. Yeah, whoever's next might win. Say, it's awful dry, ain't it? Ain't there no water nor nothing to eat? No, there ain't nothing, dearie. You'll just need to be patient a while, and then you'll be alright. Put your head up again me like that, and then you'll feel bullier. It ain't easy to talk when your lips is like leather, but I guess it'd best to let you know how the cards lie. What's that you've got? Pretty things. Fine things, cried the little girl enthusiastically, holding up 2 glittering fragments of mica. When we goes back home, I'll give them to Brother Bob. You'll see prettier things than them soon, said the man confidently. Is he literally telling her she's about to die and she's about to find heaven or something? Oh, this is crazy. You just wait a bit. I was gonna tell you though. You remember when we left the river? Oh, you and your friend D&D campaign. Oh, you used 2 D12s instead of a D20. Oh no. That's horrible. Snake eyes. That's funny. Okay, but if you use 2 D12s, is there any way for you to get a nat 1? If you get your snake eyes, I guess, would that count? Because snake eyes are bad, obviously. But would that also count as your nat 1? How would you get a nat 1? Because you're always going to have 2 die. Explain that to me a little bit, please. Oh, yes. Well, we reckoned we'd strike another river soon, you see. But there was something wrong. Compasses, or a map, or something, and it didn't turn up. Water ran out. Just except a little drop for the likes of you, and you couldn't wash yourself, interrupted his companion gravely, staring up at his grimy visage. A single 1 is a normal failure, and snake eyes is a critical fail. Okay, I got you. I'm glad I'm putting you to sleep. That's awesome, let's go. Nor drink. And Mr. Bender, he was the first to go, and then Indian Pete, and then Miss McGregor, and then Johnny Hones, and then dearie, your mother. Then mother's a deader too, cried the little girl, dropping her face in her pinafore and sobbing bitterly. Yes, they all went, except you and me. Then I thought there was some chance of water in this direction, so I heaved you over my shoulder and we tramped it together. It don't seem as though we've improved matters. There's an almighty small chance for us now. Okay, it's not actually D&D. Scorch. Oh, it's like her own thing? That's so cool. Oh, that's awesome. That takes a lot of creativity and a lot of passion, and that's so cool that your friend is doing that. Oh, that's awesome. Do you mean that we're gonna die too? Asked the child, checking her sobs and raising her tear-stained face. I guess that's about the size of it. Why didn't you say so before? She said, laughing gleefully. What? You gave me such a fright. Why, of course. Now as long as we die, we'll be with Mother again. Yes, you will, dearie. And you too. I'll tell her how awful good you've been. I'll bet she meets us at the door of heaven with a big pitcher of water and a lot of buckwheat cakes, hot and toasted on both sides, like Bob and me was found of. How long will it be first? I don't know, not very long. The man's eyes were fixed upon the northern horizon. In the blue vault of the heaven there had appeared 3 little specks, which increased in size every moment. So rapidly did they approach. They speedily resolved themselves into 3 large brown birds, which circled over the heads of the 2 wanderers, and then settled upon some rocks which overlooked them. They were buzzards, the vultures of the west, whose coming is the forerunner of death. Cocks and hens, cried the little girl gleefully. Posture check. I am sitting as straight as a board. But I will readjust just for you. Okay. Not much changed, but I did it. I did a posture check. Cried the little girl gleefully, pointing at their ill-omened forms and clapping her hands to make them rise. Say, did God make this country? "Of course he did," said her companion, rather startled by this unexpected question. "He made the country down in Illinois, and he made the Missouri," the little girl continued. "I guess somebody else made the country in these parts. It's not so nearly done. They forgot the water and the trees." "What would you think of offering up a prayer?" the man asked, diffidently. "Hi, Killips." I am sure I butchered that so bad, but thank you for being here. Thank you for following. "It ain't night yet," she answered. "It don't matter. It ain't quite regular, but he won't mind that, you bet. You say over them ones that you used to say every night in the wagon when we was on the plains." "Hi, Ratstrad, thank you for following." "Why don't you say some yourself?" the child asked, with wandering eyes. "I disremember them," he answered. "I hain't said none since I was half the height of that gun. I guess it's never too late. You say them out, and I'll stand by and come in on the choruses." "Then you'll kneel down, too, and me," she said, laying the shawl out for that purpose. "You've got to put your hands up like this. It makes you feel kind of good." It was a strange sight, had there been anything but the buzzards to see it. Side by side on the narrow shawl knelt the two wanderers, the little prattling child and the reckless-hearted adventurer. Her chubby face and his haggard, angular visage were both turned up to the cloudless heaven in a heartfelt entreaty that the dread being with whom they were face to face, while the two voices, the one thin and clear, the other deep and harsh, united in the entreaty for mercy and forgiveness. The prayer finished, they resumed their seat in the shadow of the boulder until the child fell asleep. I wonder if I'm gonna close the door. I don't think there's a cat in there. Okay. Nestling upon the broad breast of their protector, he watched over her slumber for some time, but nature proved to be too strong for him. For 3 days and 3 nights he had allowed himself, neither rest nor repose. How do you stay awake for 72 hours? Slowly the eyelids drooped over the tired eyes, and the head sunk lower and lower upon the breast, until the man's grizzled beard was mixed with the gold tresses of his companion, and both slept the same deep and dreamless slumber. Had the wanderer remained awake for another half-hour, a strange sight would have met his eyes. Far away, on the extreme verge of the alkali plain, there rose up a little spray of dust, very slight at first, and hardly to be distinguished from the mists of You're scared? Oh no, you think these people are gonna die? They might. They're thirsty and they're hungry, and they're in the desert. And hardly to be distinguished from the mists of the distance, but gradually growing higher and broader until it formed a solid, well-defined cloud. This cloud continued to increase in size until it became evident that it could only be raised by a great multitude of moving creatures. In more fertile spots, the observer would have come to the conclusion that one of those great herd of bisons which graze upon the prairie land was approaching him. This was obviously impossible in these arid wilds. As the whirl of dust drew near to the solitary bluff upon which the two castaways were reposing, the canvas-covered tilts of wagons and the figures of armed horsemen began to show up through the haze, and the apparition revealed itself as being a great caravan upon its journey for the west. But what a caravan! When the head of it had reached the base of the mountains, the rear was not yet visible on the horizon. Right across the enormous plain stretched the straggling array, wagons and carts, men on horseback and men on foot. Innumerable women who staggered along under burdens, and children who toddled beside the wagons were peeped out from under the white coverings. This was evidently no ordinary party of immigrants, but rather some nomad people who had been compelled from stress of circumstances to seek themselves a new country. There arose through the clear air a confused clattering and rumbling from this great mass of humanity, with the creaking of wheels and the neighing of horses. Loud as it was not sufficient to rouse the two tired wayfarers above them. "Hi, Tiny Cake Pop!" "Hello!" At the head of the column there rode a score or more of grave, iron-faced men, clad in somber homespun garments and armed with rifles. On reaching the base of the bluff they halted and held a short council among themselves. "The wells are to the right, my brothers," said one, a hard-lipped, clean-shaven man with grizzly hair. "Oh, hi, O's. Thank you so much for following." "To the right of the Sierra Blanco, so we shall reach the Rio Grande," said another. "Fear not for water," cried a third. He who could draw it from the rocks will not now abandon his own chosen people." "Amen, amen," shouted the whole party. They were about to resume their journey when one of the youngest and keenest-eyed uttered an exclamation and pointed up at the ragged crag above them. From its summit there fluttered a little wisp of pink, showing up hard and bright against the gray rocks behind. At the sight there was a general raying of horses and unslinging of guns, while fresh horsemen came galloping up to reinforce the vanguard. The word "Redskins" was on every lip. "There can't be any number of Injuns here," said the elderly man who appeared to be in command. "We have passed the Pawnees, and there are no other tribes until we cross the great mountains." "Shall I go forward and see, Brother Strangerson?" "Oh," asked one of the band. And I," cried a dozen voices. "Leave your horses below, and we will await you here," the elder answered. In a moment, the young fellows had dismounted, fastened their horses, and were ascending the precipitous slope which led up to the object which had excited their curiosity. They advanced rapidly and noiselessly, with the confidence and dexterity of practiced scouts. The watchers from the plain below could see them flit from rock to rock until their figures stood out against the skyline. The young man who had first given the alarm was leading them. Suddenly, his followers saw him throw his hands up as though overcome with astonishment, and on joining him they were affected in the same way by the sight which met their eyes. On the little plateau which crowned the barren hill there stood a single giant boulder, and against this boulder there lay a tall man, long-bearded and hard-featured, but of an excessive thinness. His placid face and regular breathing showed that he was fast asleep. Beside him lay a little child, with her round white arms encircling his brown, sinewy neck. "Hi, Only Paranoia. Thank you so much for following." And her golden-haired head rested upon the breast of his velveteen tunic. Her rosy lips were parted, showing the regular line of snow-white teeth within, and a playful smile played over her infantile features. Her plump little white legs, terminating in white socks and neat shoes with shining buckles, offered a strange contrast to the long, shriveled members of her companion. On the ledge of the rock above this strange couple there stood 3 solemn buzzards, who, at the sight of the newcomers, uttered raucous screams of disappointment and flapped suddenly away. The cries of the foul birds awoke the 2 sleepers, who started. "Hi, Spider-Man." That's a cute little emoji. The man staggered to his feet and looked down upon the plain which had been so desolate when sleep had overtaken him, and which was now traversed by this enormous body of men and beasts. Yes, no, wife, I did. Look, I can't tell if that's a 163 or a 183. Either way, I got a lot. His face assumed an expression of incredulity as he gazed, and he passed his bony hand over his eyes. This is what they call delirium, I guess, he muttered. The child, he thinks he's imagining it. The child stood beside him, holding on to the skirt of his coat, and said nothing, but looked all around her with the pondering, questioning gaze of childhood. Yeah, 183, that's crazy. Hi, Neon Yan Yan. And Chase Trip, thank you both for the follows. Yes, exactly. Someone got to use my reading command. Woo! The rescuing party were speedily able to convince the two castaways. Oh, also, okay, so now I'm at 185. Okay, let's go. Castaways that their appearance was no delusion. One of them seized the little girl. Thank you so much for the head pats. Thank you. One of them seized the little girl and hoisted her upon his shoulder, while two others supported her gaunt companion. What the heck? Not a bonk. You didn't appreciate. Oh, a posture check. Okay, hold on. Oh my god. Okay. I'm sitting as straight as a board. But I will readjust just for you. Apologies about my chair, and let me get my hydrate in. Yes, I got you, no wife. I have hydrated. And assisted him towards the wagons. My name is John Ferrier, the wanderer explained. Me and that little one are all that's left of 21 people. The rest is all dead of thirst and hunger away down in the south. What bonk? Yeah, literally, why bonk me? What the heck? Is she your child? Asked someone. I guess she is now, the other cried defiantly. She's mine, 'cause I saved her. No man will take her from me. She's Lucy Ferrier from this day on. Who are you, though? He continued, glancing with curiosity at his stalwart, sunburned rescuers. There seems to be a powerful lot of ye. Nigh upon 10,000. What? There's 10,000 of these people? Oh my god, said one of the young men. We are the persecuted children of God, the chosen of the angel Morona. I never heard tell. I am close to 200. I never heard tell on him, said the wanderer. He appears to have chosen a fair crowd of ye. Do not jest at that which is sacred, said the other sternly. We are of those who believe in those sacred writings, drawn in Egyptian letters on plates of beaten gold, which were handed unto the holy Joseph Smith at Palmyra. Hi, Isaac. Hello. Thank you for being here. We have come from the Nauvoo in the state of Illinois, where we had founded our temple. We have come to seek a refuge from the violent man and from the godless, even though it be the heart of the desert. The name of Nauvoo evidently recalled recollections to John Ferrier. I see, he said. You are the Mormons. We are the Mormons, answered his companions with one voice. Oh my god, they're acting like a cult. And where are you going? You come in here bonking me, and then you send a degree symbol? What the heck? We do not know. The hand of God is leading us under the person of our prophet. You must come before him. He shall say what is to be done with you. Yeah, it's okay. I guess I forgive you. They had reached the base of the hill by this time and were surrounded by crowds of the pilgrims. Pale-faced, meek-looking women, strong-laughing children, and anxious, earnest-eyed men. Many were the cries of astonishment and of commiseration which arose from the men when they were perceived the youth of one of the strangers and the destitution of the other. Their escort did not halt, however, but pushed on, followed by a great crowd of Mormons. Hi, Kingdom Keeper, thank you so much for following. Followed by a great crowd of Mormons, until they reached a wagon, which was conspicuous. Also, Alexander, hi, thank you so much for following. For its great size, and for the gaudiness of smartness of its appearance. 6 horses were yoked to it, whereas the others were furnished with 2, or at most 4 apiece. Beside the driver there sat a man who could not have been more than 30 years of age, but whose massive head and resolute expression marked him as a leader. He was reading a brown-backed volume, but as the crowd approached, he laid it aside and listened attentively to an account of the episode. Then he turned to the 2 castaways. "If we take you with us," he said in solemn words, "it can only be as believers in our own creed. We shall have no wolves in our fold. Better far that your bones should bleach in this wilderness than that you should prove to be that little speck of decay which in time corrupts the whole fruit. Will you come with us on these terms?" Oh, wow. They're demanding that they become Mormons all of a sudden. Look, do whatever it takes to be saved. "Guess I'll come with you on any terms," said Ferrier, with such emphasis that the grave elders could not restrain a smile. The leader alone retained. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's got a hyphen in it. It's on the edge of a paragraph. The leader alone retained his stern, impressive expression. "Take him, Brother Strangerson," he said. "Give him food and drink, and the child likewise. Let it be your task also to teach him our holy creed. We have delayed long enough. Forward! On to Zion!" On to Zion!" cried the crowd of Mormons, and the words rippled down the long caravan, passing from mouth to mouth until they died away in a dull murmur in the far distance. Yeah, with 10,000 of them, I'm sure it does drown out. With a cracking of whips and a creaking of wheels, the great wagons got into motion, and soon the whole caravan was winding along once more. The elder, to whose care the 2 wives had been committed, led them to his wagon, where a meal was already awaiting them. "You shall remain here," he said. "In a few days you will have recovered from your fatigues. In the meantime, remember that now and forever you are of our religion. Brigham Young has said it, and he has spoken with the voice of Joseph Smith, which is the voice of God." Alright, on to Utah we go, I guess. I've got one more chapter. I'll read chapter 2, and then I will probably be getting off for the night because I got work in the morning. So, chapter 2, The Flower of Utah. This is not the place to commemorate the trials and privations endured by the immigrant Mormons before they came to their final haven. From the shores of the Mississippi to the western slopes. Yeah, they did just join a cult. Genuinely, it seems that way. To the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains, they had struggled on with a constancy almost unparalleled in history. The savage man and the savage beast, hunger, thirst, fatigue, and disease. Monka. I'm not sure I understand. I'm not the most intellectual about world things. Every impediment which nature could place in the way had all been overcome with Anglo-Saxon tenacity. Oh, it's an emote. Oh, I see that over there. Yeah. I see now that it's an emote. Sorry. Yet the long journey and the accumulated, terrors had shaken the hearts of the stoutest among them. there was not one who did not sink upon his knees in heartfelt prayer when they saw the broad valley of Utah bathed in the sunlight beneath them, and learned from the lips of their leader that this was the promised land, and that these virgin acres were to be theirs forevermore. Young speedily proved himself to be a skillful administrator as well as a resolute chief. Maps were drawn and charts prepared, in which the future city was sketched out. All around, farms were appointed and allotted in proportion to the standing of each individual. The tradesman was put to his trade, and the artisan to his calling. In the town streets and squares sprang up as if by magic. In the country there was draining and hedging, planting and clearing, until the next summer saw the whole country golden with the wheat crop. Everything prospered in the strange settlement. Above all, the great temple which they had erected in the center of the city grew ever taller and taller. From the first blush of dawn until the closing of twilight, the clatter of the hammer and the rasp of the saw was never absent from the monument which the immigrants erected to him who had led them safe through many dangers. The two castaways, John Ferrier and the little girl who had shared his fortunes, had been adopted as his daughter, accompanied the Mormons to the end of their great pilgrimage. Little Lucy Ferrier was borne along pleasantly enough in Elder Strangerson's wagon, a retreat which she shared with the Mormon's 3 wives and with his son, a headstrong, forward boy of 12. Having rallied with the elasticity of childhood from the shock caused by her mother's death, she soon became a pet with the women and reconciled herself to this new life in her moving canvas-covered home. Yeah, I see you, you're dancing over there. Yeah. In the meantime, Ferrier, having recovered from his privations, distinguished himself as a useful guide and an okay, I know the second word is fatigable, so indefatigable hunter so rapidly. Oh, hi Nemo, thank you so much for following. Let's go. I'm glad you're enjoying it, no wife. And yes, I'm doing good. It's my first time reading it, so I'm having fun. I'm very confused, obviously, why we went from, I was gonna say modern day London, but it's not, it's the 1800s. So why we went from London all the way to Utah and following some Mormons. But Strangerson's name was in here, so obviously it's important. But also, yeah, I'm sure they did all go in different groups and not all at once, like this book is saying, in the 10,000s. That's crazy. Okay, so rapidly did he gain the esteem of his new companions that when they reached the end of their wanderings, it was unanimously agreed that he should be provided with as large and as fertile a tract of land as any of the settlers. Wow. With the exception of Young himself and of Strangerson, Kemble, Johnson, and Drebber. Drebber, there's that name again. Who were the 4 principal elders. This is interesting. I'm wondering how they correlate to the Strangerson and Drebber over in London. On the farm thus acquired, John Ferrier built himself a substantial log house, which received so many additions in succeeding years that it grew into a roomy villa. He was a man of a practical turn of mind, keen in his dealings, and skillful with his hands. His iron constitution enabled him to work morning and evening at improving and tilling his lands. Hence, it came about that his farm and all that belonged to him prospered exceedingly. In 3 years, he was better off than his neighbors. In 6, he was well-to-do. In 9, he was rich. And in 12, there was not half a dozen men in the whole of Salt Lake City who could compare with him. Hi, Day Money. Thank you so much for following. From the great inland sea to the distant Wasatch Mountains, there was no name better known than that of John Ferrier. There was one way, and only one, in which he offended the susceptibilities of his co-religionists. No argument or persuasion could ever induce him to set up a female establishment. Oh, my cat is trying to get into the bathroom. A female establishment after the manner of his companions. He never gave reasons for this persistent refusal, but contented himself by resolutely and inflexibly adhering to his determination. There were some who accused him of lukewarmness in his adopted region, and others who put it down to greed of wealth and reluctance to incur expense. Others, again, spoke of some early love affair and of a fair-haired girl who had pined away on the shores of the Atlantic. Hi, Ozeki. Thank you so much for following. Whatever the reason, Ferrier remained strictly celibate. In every other respect, he conformed to the religion of the young gentleman. Wait, yeah, he's a Mormon. Mormons are really big into, having a lot of children, aren't they? Oh, that's really big. That's a big thing to go against his religion with. That's interesting that they're okay with it. I mean, I guess they're not, but that they didn't kick him out. Okay. In every other respect, he conformed to the religion of the young settlement and gained the name of being an orthodox and straight-walking man. Lucy Ferrier grew up within the log house and assisted her adopted father in all his undertakings. The keen air of the mountains and the balsamic odor of the pine trees took the place of nurse and mother to the young girl. Yeah, exactly. They would definitely have some issues with that. As year succeeded to year, she grew taller and stronger, her cheek more ruddy and her step more elastic. Many a wayfarer upon the high road which ran by Ferrier's farm felt long-forgotten thoughts revive in their minds as they watched her lithe, girlish figure tripping through the wheat fields, or met her mounted upon her father's Mustang and managing it with all the ease and grace of a true child of the West. So the bud blossomed into a flower, and the years which saw her father Snake Noodle Soup, that's such a cute name. Thank you so much for following. And yes, we are reading the very first Sherlock Holmes book. So we're in part 2, so we're focused on some Mormons right now for some reason or another. I'm not certain yet. Stretch. Okay, sure. Thank you so much. That was a good one. So the bud blossomed into a flower, and the year which saw her father, the richest of the farmers, left her as fair a specimen of American girlhood as could be found in the whole Pacific slope. Yeah, it should make sense at some point. It was not the father, however, who first discovered that the child had developed into the woman. It seldom is in such cases. That mysterious change is too subtle and too gradual to be measured by dates. Least of all does the maiden herself know it until the tone of a voice or the touch of a hand sets her heart thrilling within her, and she learns, with a mixture of pride and of fear, that a new, I may believe, thank you so much for following, that a new and larger nature has awoken within her. There are few who cannot recall that day and remember the one little incident which heralded the dawn of a new life. In the case of Lucy Ferrier, the occasion was serious enough in itself, apart from its future influence on her destiny and that of many besides. It was a warm June morning, and the Latter-day Saints were as busy as the bees whose hive they had chosen for their emblem. In the fields and in the streets rose the same hum of human industry. Down the dusty high roads defiled long streams of heavy Latin mules, all heading to the west, for the gold fever had broken out in California, and the overland route lay through the city of the elect. There, too, were droves of sheep and bullocks coming in from the outlying pasture lands, and trains of tired immigrants, men and horses, equally weary of their interminable journey. Through all this motley assemblage, threading her way with the skill of an accomplished rider, there galloped Lucy Ferrier, her face flushed with the exercise, and her long chestnut hair floating out behind her. She had a commission from her father in the city, and was dashing in as she had done many a time before, with all the fearlessness of youth, thinking only of her task and how it was to be performed. The travel-stained adventurers gazed after her in astonishment, and even the unemotional Indians, journeying in with their pelts, relaxed their accustomed stoicism as they marveled at the beauty of the pale-faced maiden. She had reached the outskirts of the city when she found the road blocked by a great drove of cattle, driven by a half-dozen wild-looking herdsmen from the plains. In her impatience, she endeavored to pass by this obstacle by pushing her horse into what appears to be a gap. Scarcely had she got fairly into it, however, before the beasts closed in behind her, and she found herself completely embedded in the moving stream of fierce-eyed, long-horned bullocks. Accustomed as she was to deal with the cattle, she was not... Sorry, I looked at my thingy, and I lost my spot. Oh no. Okay. Accustomed as she was to deal with the cattle, she was not alarmed at her situation, but took advantage of every opportunity to urge her horse on, in the hopes of pushing her way through the cavalcade. Unfortunately, the horns of one of the creatures, either by accident or design, came in violent contact with the flank of the Mustang, and excited it to madness. In an instant it reared up upon its hind legs with a snort of rage, and pranced and tossed in a way that would have unseated any but a most skillful rider. The situation was full of peril. Every plunge of the excited horse brought it against the horns again. Oh God. Ew. Wait, so this poor horse is getting hit, which is making the horse, like, go up on its rear legs, but then it has to come back down right back into the horns. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, also, Chase, I'm so sorry I missed your message. Good night. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. And goaded it to fresh madness. It was all that the girl could do to keep herself in the saddle, yet a slip would mean a terrible death. On the what? On the horns. On the horns. Did I say something strange? On the horns. Would mean a terrible death under the hoofs of the unwieldy and terrified animals. Okay, good. Unaccustomed to sudden emergencies, her head began to swim, and her grip upon the bridle to relax. Choked by the rising cloud of dust and by the steam from the struggling creatures, she might have abandoned her efforts in despair, but for a kindly voice at her elbow which assured her of assistance. Oh, okay, I gotcha. At the same moment, a sinewy brown hand caught the frightened horse by the curb, and forcing a way through the drove, soon brought her to the outskirts. "You're not hurt, I hope, miss," said her preserver respectfully. She looked up at his dark, fierce face and laughed saucily. "I'm awful frightened," she said naively. "Whoever would have thought that Poncho would have been so scared by a lot of cows?" "Thank God you kept your seat," the other said earnestly. He was a tall, savage-looking young fellow, mounted on a powerful roan horse, and clad in the rough dress of a hunter, with a long rifle slung over his shoulders. "I guess you're the daughter of John Ferrier," he remarked. "I saw you ride down from his house. When you see him, ask him..." OMG. I do not know how to say your name. OMG. Leshant, Tiffy, K. de Cheswick. Thank you for following. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. When you see him, ask him if he remembers the Jefferson Hopes of St. Louis. If he's the same farrier, my father and he were pretty thick. Wait, okay, so are these people that he knew before he was a Mormon? Hadn't you better come and ask yourself? She asked demurely. The young fellow seemed pleased at the suggestion, and his dark eyes sparkled with pleasure. I'll do so, he said. We've been in the mountains for 2 months, and are not over and above in visiting condition. He must take us as he finds us. He has a good deal to thank you for, and so have I, she answered. He's awful fond of me. If those cows had jumped on me, he'd have never gotten over it. Neither would I, said her companion. But you? Well, I don't see that would have made much matter to you anyhow. You ain't even had a friend of ours. The young hunter's dark face grew so gloomily over this remark that Lucy Ferrier laughed aloud. There, I didn't mean that, she said. Of course you're a friend now. You must come and see us. Now I must push along, or Father won't trust me with his business anymore. Goodbye. Goodbye, he answered, raising his broad sombrero and bending over her little hand. She wheeled her Mustang round, gave it a cut with her riding whip, and darted away down the broad road in a rolling cloud of dust. Young Jefferson Hope rode on with his companions, gloomy and taciturn. He and they had been along the Nevada mountains prospecting for silver, and were returning to Salt Lake City in the hopes of raising capital enough to work some lodes which they had discovered. He had been as keen as any of them upon the business, until this sudden incident had drawn his thoughts into another channel. The sight of the fair young girl, as frank and wholesome as Sierra breezes, had stirred his volcanic, untamed hearts to its very depths. When she had vanished from his sight, he realized that a crisis had come into his life, and that neither silver speculations nor any other questions could ever be of such importance to him as this new and all-absorbing one. The love which had sprung up in his heart was not the sudden, changeable fancy of a boy, but rather the wild, fierce passion of a man of strong will and imperious temper. He had been accustomed to succeed in all that he undertook. He swore in his heart that he would not fail in this if human effort and human perseverance could render him successful. He called on John Ferrier that night, and many times again, until his face was a familiar one at the farmhouse. John, cooped up in the valley and absorbed in his work, had had little chance of learning the news of the outside world during the last 12 years. Well, golly. All this Jefferson Hope was able to tell him, and in a style which interested Lucy as well as her father. Slew, it's okay. You're not interrupting. You get to come join. Come hang out. He had been a pioneer in California and could narrate many a strange tale of fortunes. Okay, I'll hydrate. Thank you, no wife. And in style which interested Lucy as well as her father. He had been a pioneer in California and could narrate many a strange tale of fortunes made and fortunes lost, and those wild halcyon days? Slew, I don't know if you know what we're reading, but we're reading some Sherlock Holmes. He had been a scout too, and a trapper, a silver explorer, and a ranchman. Wherever stirring adventures were to be had, Jefferson Hope had been there in search of them. He soon became a favorite with the old farmer, who spoke eloquently of his virtues. On such occasions, Lucy was silent, but her blushing cheek and her bright, happy eyes showed only too clearly that her young heart was no longer her own. Her honest father may not have observed these symptoms, but they were assuredly not thrown away upon the man who had won her affections. Tea is perfect, although we're in like an American section of the book, so it's not very British, but it was a summer evening when he came galloping down the road and pulled up at the gate. She was at the doorway and came down to meet him. He threw the bridle over the fence and strode up the pathway. "I am off, Lucy," he said, taking her 2 hands in his and gazing tenderly down into her face. "I won't ask you to come with me now, but will you be ready to come when I am here again?" "And when will that be?" she asked, blushing and laughing. "A couple of months at the outside. I will come and claim you then, my darling. There is no one who can stand between us." "And how about father?" she asked. "He has given his consent." Oh, wow. He asked for her hand in marriage from her dad, and he said yes. "Provided we get these minds working all right. I have no fear on that head." "Oh well, of course, if you and father have arranged it all, there's no more to be said," she whispered, with her cheek against his broad breast. "Thank God," he said hoarsely, stooping and kissing her. "It is settled then. The longer I stay, the harder it will be to go. They are waiting for me at the canyon. Goodbye, my own darling. Goodbye. In 2 months you shall see me." He tore himself from her as he spoke, and flinging himself upon his horse, galloped furiously away, never even looking round, as though afraid that his resolution might fail him if he took one glance at what he was leaving. She stood at the gate, gazing after him until he vanished from her sight. Then she walked back into the house, the happiest girl in all of Utah. Okay, that is unfortunately the end of the chapter, and that's where I said I was going to stop reading. I'm sorry, Slew. You came right at the end. I apologize. But that's okay. Heartbreak, no. Oh, posture check, okay. I will do one. Thank you. So, the good news is that, yes, so I'm gonna stream again on Thursday, but that's gonna be a gaming stream. It's not gonna be ASMR or anything, but if you want to come back specifically for ASMR, I do readings on Monday and Tuesday, so you can always come back. GGMX Rowdy, thank you so much for the follow. I am not doing Warhammer 3 on Thursday. I feel like I need to upgrade my PC parts before I try playing some more Warhammer. I don't want to cause a laggy stream for people. But again, oh, Soggy Sheriff, thank you so much for the follow. At Worm. Oh, at work. At Worm tomorrow. Thank you. I will have a great time at Worm tomorrow. But yeah, again, I do ASMR reading. ASMR reading on Mondays and Tuesdays. So you are always welcome to come join me again then. And I would love to have you all. Thank you so much again. Oh my god. Jellin. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the gifted subs. What the heck? Thanks. Wow, it's so nice. Oh, that's so nice. And thank you so much for telling me the story was good. We've got probably one more stream, and then, so I guess that'll be Monday, and then next Tuesday, a week from now, we'll start the next Sherlock Holmes book, whichever one that is. I gotta figure that out. And you are very welcome for stream, Mr. Manager. Thank you for being here. Okay, my least favorite part, trying to find someone to raid, because I never know who to raid out to. It's always a struggle. no more book. Who do I read to? Exactly, now we read. Gosh. Thanks, Benzo. And the issue is a lot of these people in the ASMR category are not doing ASMR. Oh, here's someone I rated before, but she's not ASMR right now. What the heck? Mori. Can you link her to me? Like, can you type her name here in the chat so I can copy it? Because I'm okay with that. Because like everyone else I'm going through, they're all gaming. They're not doing ASMR. I guess I could put in search. I was just going through what Twitch suggests me. Okay, fantastic. Okay, I will do that. r/raid. And then this is your name right here. Copy. Oh no, Control V, silly. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Silver. Thank you. Yes. I thought they went with it cute. Okay, I have to just type Maury's name in personally. That's okay. That should be fine. Yep, that's perfect. Hi, Silver. You came right as I'm leaving. But I will do more reading on Monday and Tuesday, so you could come join me then. Or if you're interested, I am gaming on Thursday. I think I might be playing some Persona 3. I might. And then on Saturday, I'm doing a collab stream for Valentine's. But the ASMR again is on Monday and Tuesday. So, okay, let me see. What happened to the Minecraft? We don't do the Minecraft server anymore. It just kind of died off. I don't know. That's what happened to it. You'll be at work Saturday. That sucks that you have to work on the holiday, but it is just Valentine's. Thank you so much for being here. You're so welcome. Alright, everybody. Thank you. I'll see you later. Have a wonderful night. Bye, good night. Oh, I know. I love Spud. Oh.